and it's killing me.
Thank you so much for joining us on the project.
My pleasure.
And I've been immersed. I've gone down a Sarah Slean wormhole in the last few days, and it's the greatest wormhole that I've ever gone into on the internet. I feel like you are Canada's chanteuse, and I don't care who people want to try to compare you to. For me, for my money, you're the lady of Canadian comedy, and I'm serious about that. So true story. Canadian comedy, I said. Oh, it's Canadian. I meant Canadian music, but you actually had one of the funniest tweets that I've seen recently. We'll talk about that too.
Okay.
You've been sitting there behind your piano very, very patiently during this whole thing. Would you do us the honor of playing a song, and then we'll chat after?
I would love to.
Just you wait and see. They'll be falling from the rooftops on a blossom-covered breeze. And the song you need to hear it will be singing through the trees. Are you listening? Don't you see? And the pain that you've been fighting is an angel in disguise. It is love, and love is wise. Throw your heart into the ocean. Throw just come out naturally. There's still time to notice, still time to believe that a door at last will open where doubt and darkness used to be, and that the paradise you long for is underneath your feet. What you running for? Where have you been? Throw your heart into the ocean. Throw your heart into the sea. Just come out naturally. Just come out naturally.
Yes, so beautiful. I would pay infinity at $18 for a can of that. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. It was really fun.
So beautiful. No, we're going to talk now. I get to I get the joy of speaking to you after this. We just got a little bit into the panel there, but I have so much more to ask you.
Okay.
First of all, you're from Pickering, Ontario. True story?
True story.
You want to give a shout out to Pickering? Or?
Shout out to Pickering. Shawn Mendes is from Pickering.
Is he really? Eh?
Uh-huh.
Wow. Pretty good. That's pretty good company there. Still doesn't compare for me. What, my goodness. Yeah. Now you were touring when this whole thing started. You were touring with Hawksley Workman.
Yes. My brother from another mother.
And he was our first guest on this show. So we're spoiled to have had both of you. Now, the two of you are extremely experimental in your music. You pay so much attention to the lyrics that you're never going to get from anyone else. When you guys have a conversation on tour, when you're not on the stage, is it always a super deep conversation, or are you you're out of thoughts and you just stare at each other?
It's exhausting, the kind of deep talks that we have. It's exhausting, and he would say the same. And we took two bandmates with us, Colleen Brown and Marcus Paquin, and we thought that they would be a nice tempering influence, but they just jumped right into. We were in the deep end the whole time. No wonder I got sick.
Did you get sick on tour? Yeah.
I had to miss one show because I caught a bad cold. Thank God it was not a virus that should not be named. But yes, I got sick, and so we canceled the show.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I didn't know that.
But then I bounced back, and we were all ready to go on the road again, and then coronavirus hit. So
what is the deepest conversation you two had? Can you think of it?
Huxley and I love to talk about, well, this is why we both love tapestry as well. I mean, I've been a student of philosophy for a long time, and poetry, and where all of those ideas kind of bubble and simmer and, turn into amazing art. That's kind of like where I like to sit and hope that some song angel will shoot their arrow into me. But when we're on the road, we talk about, an artist's role, what it is to be alive, and what a human should be doing with their time, and how to suffer the minor humiliations of the music industry with some grace, and like also politics and the way music is changing in the world, and the way the sort of geopolitical landscape, like where power is shifting. We think about all that stuff perhaps too much. Yeah, but there are long drives on these tours, right? So you got to fill it somehow.
I can't even begin to describe how different that is than most conversations I have with comedians on the road. We're just doing jokes about the sign we just passed and town names, and
there's a lot of joking as well. There's a lot of joking.
Yeah, I know. Well, you guys also are funny on top of being supremely talented. So I get it, Sarah.
Huxley is so funny. He is
a very funny man. But you can hold your own. I wanted to bring this up. We had talked about Drake. I brought it up earlier that he was Architectural Digest. For some reason, they thought everyone was begging to see a shot of Drake's mansion, and you came up with the best tweet on that, which was you said his chandelier is the coronavirus.
It looks like the coronavirus. Do you have a picture? I wish I had a picture. It literally does. It's this big round thing with these spiky projections with like weird suction cups on the end. And he's standing there in his like Huxtable sweater, and and he's in this weird like 70s porn lounge or something that he had built in his house. And it's yellow. There's too much yellow. And it's so weird. Why would they publish that right now? No, I was like, is it a message from the Illuminati?
It was very tone deaf of them to do that. And I don't begrudge Drake having that, but I'd rather be in my little house with my wife and my girls than with a giant mansion in a weird coat because the heat seems to be broken. And I did say, I believe, as a follow-up to your tweet, that's probably not COVID-19 because that would be too old for him.
Which was hilarious.
Yeah, so we had a good time at Drake's expense. I might have just lost him as a guest. I don't know, but I'm willing.
You did.
I'm willing.
It's not going to happen.
Let me ask you this musically, because your Land and Sea double album, which is one of my favorite albums, I've been literally immersed in it for the last 3 days, there's a big orchestral element. And I've noticed you play with a lot of orchestras, which I didn't know that you did so many. You played with over 10 orchestras across Canada and around.
I had 3 orchestra shows that were canceled because of this pandemic too. And they were going to be 2 of them were going to be new orchestras. So I was so excited about that. But if all goes well, I'm playing with another orchestra this October and several times next year. Yeah, it is. I love orchestras. There's nothing like standing on a stage and hearing all of that sound come at you. And it is sort of pertains to what we were discussing with Stephen, is like it's a real collective experience. I sometimes get misty-eyed standing out in front of all of the musicians thinking like, how many hours of practicing is on this stage, you know,
Right.
like these people as children picking up these enormously difficult instruments that take, you know, a good 20 years to master. And they just practiced and went to recitals and, you know, just put it in the hours. And now there can be this massive, beautiful thing that I'm so honored to experience, and I get to sing with them. It's just crazy.
And do you work on the arrangements with the orchestra when you do that?
Yes, I am such a student of orchestration because I just love it. I just think the sound is so, it's unlike anything else. So I have put in a lot of hours in studying orchestration, and I write my own arrangements. But sometimes I hire my composer friends to create arrangements too. And it's amazing the learning curve because, you know, like anything, when you start, you just are so bad and you're like, why am I so bad? And I've been so fortunate to be able to hear every time I play with an orchestra, I rearrange or I tweak some of my existing arrangements, and they just get incrementally better and better. And that, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that, you know, nerds like me are super into. You know, it's just like, oh, I can get that much closer to perfection.
If you are a nerd, everyone should be a nerd, Sarah. I don't think you've ever been bad at anything. I think that you
That's not true. I
came
have
out and singing and playing the keys. That's what I feel like.
Thanks. Well, you don't want to see me when I'm trying to figure out audio settings on computers because like there may be tears.
Well,
Might get there.
I did see part of that, and then you just yelled out Guillermo like Rosebud, and suddenly it was fixed. So that's
A patron saint of audio.
Guillermo, the saint of audio. Now we talked about it a little bit. We want to wrap it up. I know we're conscious of time here, but you gave great insight during the panel. But some people will probably just tune in just for this because they don't care about me or sports, so they just want to see Sarah Slean. To get, you know, your background in philosophy and in Buddhism, do you find like meditation and doing different readings every day during this pandemic is helping you personally?
Definitely. I don't know what happened to me, but I mean, over the last 10 years, maybe it's technology, maybe it's social media, but I found this sort of inner equilibrium that I'd achieved through being a super hyper aware younger person. I'd gotten to a point where I felt really steady and I felt really, you know, in charge of my mind. And then there was a period where it felt like the top was wobbling, and and I think it may be social media and technology, who knows, but I had to make a very concerted effort to come back to having some degree of stillness in my mind. And I would take meditation courses with the Consciousness Explorers Club in Toronto, who are amazing. I took some courses with the now no longer there Zen Buddhist Temple in Toronto, used to be on College Street. I really made an effort to get back there. And now, I mean, I have a daily meditation practice. I only meditate for 15 minutes, but it's not just Buddhism for me. It's people like Marcus Aurelius, you know, Thomas Merton, the Trappist monk. I go back to his readings all the time, and they have that inner stillness. It's solid as a rock. And sometimes even just reading things that they have written can help me almost like create that inner simulation of the stillness in myself, even though I haven't, you know, earned it with all of the contemplation that those guys have done over the years. It's almost like I can sense where they were and feel it, and that helps me kind of not spin out.
You are one of the maybe most philosophical people I've ever spoken to directly. So you trust me, their contemplation's got nothing on you. They might have put in more hours, but I think you've got it. If you had one, I'm going to ask you about an artist too in a second, but if you had one book to pass on to people that you could about meditation, is there one that comes to mind you could pass on?
Ooh, I think actually on the vein of what we're talking about, it would be not actually a Buddhist meditator. It would be Marcus Aurelius,
Okay.
but he wrote a book, Meditations, and he's a Stoic philosopher, or they consider him a Stoic philosopher. And it's just about him trying to be a leader while, all hell is breaking loose all the time. And people are betraying him and things are going badly and there's catastrophe after catastrophe. And yet he manages to keep this sort of centeredness. And he has this wider angle lens on life that is like very much Buddhist in its nature, is that, all things change. I am this small little window of consciousness in this brief moment in time in this vast universe. And it's that perspective that is just very stoic, for lack of a better word.
Beautiful. I'm going to thank you for that. I will check it out myself because I could use some calm in the storm here. And we also like to try to shine light on other artists, Canadian artists that people might not have had a chance to get to hear enough of. Did you have one name?
Well, there have been a lot of live streams going on. The NAC is doing an incredible live stream program that I'm just too chicken shit to actually do. I can't do a live stream. I can't do it. It's too terrifying. But I watched a young man by the name of Luca Fogale, Fogale.
Luca Fogale?
Yeah, and he's marvelous. He just had a single mic and he played his guitar and he has this beautiful soft voice and his lyrics are lovely. I think he's wonderful. Wow.
Well, for that to come from you, that's going to be big for Luca. We're going to track him down. And Sarah, my goodness, if other people are doing this, please get, I want everyone in the world to hear what you have to say. And last question is, still thoughts of putting together a full musical coming up in your future?
Yes, I'm writing a musical right now based on the film Maudie. The producers of the film are also making a stage musical. And I hope one day that people will again fill darkened theaters because this story is so beautiful. It's about a Canadian painter and it's just her beautiful life in rural Nova Scotia. That's called Maudie.
I can't wait to see that. And the second that you and Mr. Workman have a live concert again, I'm going to be there. And I'll pay whatever it costs because.
And when the debaters, when are they going to be in Toronto anytime soon?
Just like everyone else, we don't know, Yeah. But it's.
Well, I will be there with bells.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today, and thanks for taking part in really classing up that discussion earlier.
Thank you, Stephen. I'm such a fan.
Thanks, Sarah.
Take care.
And it's killing me.